Nobody expected it to be this one-sided. Piastri has completely taken over the Bahrain Grand Prix, leaving zero space for any other driver. Not even Lando Norris, his own teammate. Now, the points gap between the McLaren pair is razor-thin, with just 3 points separating them. This sets up one of the most intense teammate rivalries we've seen in years. The real question is, can Piastri go all the way and become McLaren's first world champion since Hamilton back in 2008? And if that happens, how is Norris going to handle it? Especially after he openly criticized the car, saying it's far from ideal. That's a stark contrast to what Piastri's been saying. It's clear that this internal rivalry is quickly becoming one of the biggest talking points of the 2025 season. While Norris seems frustrated with the car's setup, Piastri has been full of confidence. The Australian reminds fans of Fernando Alonso in 2023. When a driver knows they're in a fast machine, they don't try to hide it. Right after Norris aired his doubts about the car's performance, Piastri didn't hesitate to share his own thoughts. He said, "I'm not going to pretend we don't have the best car right now. Saying otherwise wouldn't be fair, but it's still tricky out there. The differences between drivers are small, and even a small mistake can cost a couple of tenths. That's been the case lately." Piastri's not claiming they're unbeatable, but he's clear that the team currently holds an edge, and they're working hard to keep it that way each weekend. Honestly, he couldn't have said it any clearer. Even in Bahrain, where practice sessions hinted the MCL 39 might be half a second quicker than the others, there wasn't much room for error. 1 or 2 tenths slower could drop you from pole to fourth. And in a season where qualifying plays a huge role, especially with how easily dirty air ruins tire life, every fraction of a second counts. Norris, starting further back and carrying a penalty, naturally had a more difficult race. But the way Piastri handled the race, with sharp decision-making and control, made the real difference. What once seemed like a bold prediction is now shaping into something very real. Before the season began, Piastri talked about fighting for the championship. Some doubted him. But after Bahrain, it's becoming harder to ignore the possibility. Meanwhile, Norris is facing increasing pressure as the season goes on. This contrast between the two drivers is fascinating. While Piastri looks more and more comfortable behind the wheel, Norris appears unsettled, even with the same equipment. And it's not like Norris hasn't had his moments. He won in Melbourne, yet he still insists the car isn't performing how he wants. Norris recently admitted, "I wish I could figure out how to connect with this car. I don't have an answer, even for myself. Athletes know when things click. I just haven't felt that yet. Not this year, not even when I won." This kind of self-doubt has started raising eyebrows among fans and analysts. Many are beginning to wonder, is Norris genuinely struggling with the car, or is he framing a narrative to lower expectations and make himself look like he's battling against the odds? While Norris continues to question his own connection with the MCL 39, Piastri seems to have settled into a rhythm. The difference in mindset is starting to show on track, and although the gap between the two isn't massive, it's just enough to make a difference, especially in tight races like Bahrain. It brings to mind Red Bull's early 2023 races with Liam Lawson, where performance levels were close, but small differences had big impacts. In Bahrain, the clean air ahead of Piastri gave him a big advantage. Add to that his flawless race management, especially with tire wear and timing, and it became nearly impossible for anyone to challenge him. On the other hand, Norris was struggling with consistency. He blamed qualifying issues and called the car hard to get into the right zone. Meanwhile, Piastri shared a completely different take. He said, "It's been pretty straightforward to get consistent laps out of the car, and it's fast too, which is obviously what matters the most. I've been feeling good all season, but Bahrain felt like another." That kind of feedback from Piastri paints a very different picture compared to what Norris has been saying. And it's not just about opinions, it's backed by results. After a poor qualifying in Bahrain, Norris suggested that it showed the car wasn't the strongest on the grid. But then, when asked about race expectations, he claimed Piastri would probably lap everyone, and he'd just aim for second. That's a bit hard to follow. On one hand, he's not happy with the car, but on the other, he admits it's capable of dominating. It shows inconsistency not just in performance, but also in mindset. And for someone aiming for a world title, that can be a serious problem. Even after the race, Norris didn't hold back. He said, "That was a rough one. I made too many mistakes, especially during overtakes and at the start. It was a messy race. I'm disappointed we couldn't secure a 1-2 for McLaren. That would have meant a lot to the team. Still, a few positives to take. It was fun out there, lots of hard racing." He ended by admitting he's surprised he's even getting results right now, considering how disconnected he feels from the car. That admission, saying he's surprised to be achieving anything at all, says a lot about Norris's current state of mind. And it's raising questions. His team principal, Andrea Stella, has already pointed out that McLaren has been one of the strongest teams since the start of the season. So when Norris openly doubts the car's potential, it creates a narrative that doesn't quite align with the team's actual performance. It's even more interesting when you remember the comments Norris made back in 2020, criticizing how Hamilton had to only beat one teammate to win a title. Now, Norris finds himself in a similar position, and the pressure seems to be getting to him. Some F1 insiders are starting to voice concerns. One of them is Helmut Marko, who said Piastri has shown stronger mental resilience than Norris, even if Norris may be slightly quicker on a single lap. And former driver Christian Albers pointed out that looking defeated in front of the media after a race can hurt a driver's image. He believes that showing frustration so openly, like Norris did after Bahrain, isn't helpful, especially when the championship fight is this close. Now, with just 3 points separating Norris and Piastri, the championship battle is about to get even more intense. Norris's recent struggles, both on track and in his own mindset, are creating a shift in momentum. If he doesn't get back on top of his game, Piastri could take full advantage. But this is where real champions are made. The way Piastri has handled the pressure, especially with his consistent performance and sharp racecraft, is showing the world that he's ready to fight for the title. Norris, meanwhile, has a lot of mental hurdles to overcome if he wants to reclaim his position. Despite what anyone says about the car, one thing is clear. McLaren has the fastest machine on the grid right now. Even Max Verstappen admitted that if he were driving the MCL 39, you wouldn't see him anywhere near the back of the field. In response, Norris fired back, saying, "I don't care what Verstappen says, everyone can have their opinions, but both Oscar and I are great drivers. Sure, Max might be better in some areas, but not in everything. He can test our car anytime, and I'd love to see his reaction after he drives it." With the title race heating up, Norris will have to fight not just his teammates but his own doubts. If the current trend continues, and if Norris falters in qualifying again, Piastri could seize the momentum and take over the championship battle. So what do you think? Is Piastri proving he's the real deal? Or can Norris turn things around? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to check out the next video on your screen right now.